Let me paint you a picture. You are 45 years old. You have been running 3 times a week, lifting twice a week, and you are quietly proud of it. Then work explodes. A big project lands, the schedule collapses, and suddenly 2 weeks have gone by without a single workout. You tell yourself it is fine. You tell yourself you will get back to it. But inside your chest, something is already shifting. And most men have no idea it happens this fast. Here is the thing most people do not understand about the heart. It is not like a savings account where your balance just sits there waiting for you. It is more like a muscle you are constantly training or constantly losing. Every time you exercise consistently, your heart adapts. It pumps more blood per beat, your arteries stay more flexible, your resting heart rate drops. Those are real structural and functional changes. And when the training stops, the reversal begins. Not in months. In days. The first 3 days after you stop exercising, honestly, not much happens. Your heart still holds most of its recent adaptations. You might even feel better rested and a little stronger because your body has had time to recover. This is where the trap is. You feel good, so you assume nothing is changing. But from around day 4 onward, a quiet process begins. Your blood plasma volume starts to drop slightly, and your heart has to beat a little faster to move the same amount of blood around your body. By the end of the first week, you start to feel it. You climb 2 flights of stairs and your heart is working harder than it did last week for the exact same effort. That is not your imagination. Your stroke volume, which is the amount of blood your heart pumps with each beat, has already started to decline. Your heart compensates by beating faster. The result is that familiar feeling of being slightly more out of breath than you expect to be. That feeling is a real cardiovascular signal, not just a fitness inconvenience. Now here is something that genuinely surprises most people. Most people assume that if you stop exercising, your muscles are the first thing to go. But the research says something different. Your cardiovascular fitness, specifically your VO2 max, which is basically the size of your engine, starts falling noticeably within 1 to 2 weeks. Muscle strength holds on a bit longer, typically showing clear decline around 3 to 4 weeks in. You lose your engine before you lose your horsepower. That distinction matters more than you might think. Let us talk about blood sugar, because this one genuinely shocked me when I read the research. There was a study summarized by Michigan State University Extension looking at middle-aged adults who did 8 months of combined aerobic and resistance training. 8 months. Their blood glucose control improved significantly, which is a major marker for heart health and diabetes risk. Then they stopped exercising for just 14 days. 2 weeks. And those blood sugar benefits were largely gone. 8 months of work, reversed in a fortnight. That is how quickly your metabolic health responds to inactivity. By the 2nd and 3rd week, the changes start stacking. Your VO2 max is typically down somewhere between 5 and 10% in recreationally active men. Your resting heart rate has likely climbed by several beats per minute. If you already had borderline blood pressure, you may start to see those numbers creep upward. Your insulin sensitivity is worsening, meaning your body is less efficient at managing blood sugar after meals. None of these changes feel dramatic on their own. But together, they are increasing the workload on your heart with every single beat, all day long. Here is a number worth knowing. Regular aerobic exercise can lower systolic blood pressure by around 5 to 7 millimeters of mercury in people with hypertension. That sounds small, but in cardiovascular medicine, that is a meaningful reduction. When you stop exercising, studies show that partial reversal of those blood pressure benefits can happen within 2 to 4 weeks, particularly in men who already have high blood pressure or metabolic syndrome. Your arteries also become measurably stiffer during this period. Stiffer arteries mean more resistance, and more resistance means your heart has to push harder with every beat. And here is the million-dollar question. What about your cholesterol? Specifically your HDL, which is the good cholesterol that helps clear plaque from your arteries. HDL tends to drop gradually over weeks to months of inactivity. Triglycerides, the fats circulating in your blood, tend to rise. Neither change is dramatic in just 30 days, but the direction is clearly the wrong one. Combined with worsening blood sugar and rising blood pressure, you are building what cardiologists call cardiometabolic strain. It is not a single event. It is a slow accumulation of pressure on a system that needs to last you decades. Let me tell you about heart rate recovery, because this one does not get talked about enough. When you are fit, after you stop exercising, your heart rate drops quickly. That fast recovery is a sign of a healthy, efficient cardiovascular system. An American Heart Association paper found that how fast your heart rate falls in the first 10 seconds after stopping exercise is actually a stronger predictor of mortality than many traditional risk factors. When you stop training, that recovery slows down. Your heart stays elevated longer after effort. That is not just uncomfortable. It is a measurable risk signal. By day 21 to 30, the picture is clear. Endurance is significantly reduced compared to your baseline. Your heart rate during routine effort, walking briskly, carrying groceries, climbing stairs, is noticeably higher than it was a month ago. If you are mostly sedentary on top of not exercising, some increase in blood pressure and arterial stiffness is likely. The composite story here is a 42-year-old project manager whose resting heart rate climbed from 60 to the mid-70s. And whose blood pressure moved from 122/78 to 136/88 in a single month of desk-bound work. That is not a dramatic collapse. But it is a meaningful shift. Now here is something Johns Hopkins research highlights that catches a lot of men off guard. You can be exercising and sedentary at the same time. If you are sitting 9 to 10 hours a day, that prolonged sitting is an independent risk factor for heart disease and early death, even if you are hitting the gym. So if your 30 days off means you are also sitting all day at a desk, you are getting a double hit. No exercise stimulus plus prolonged sedentary time is a combination that raises blood pressure, increases inflammation, and pushes your cardiovascular risk in the wrong direction faster than either factor alone. Most people get this completely wrong, so let me fix that. A lot of men assume that if they have been fit for years, 30 days off will barely touch them. The research says yes, long-term fitness does give you a buffer. You recover faster when you restart. But detraining studies in well-trained athletes show VO2 max drops of 5 to 14% within just a few weeks off. For a 45-year-old man, that can mean a running pace that slows noticeably, daily tasks that feel harder than expected, and blood pressure and resting heart rate both ticking upward. Your history protects you somewhat. It does not make you immune. There is another misconception worth addressing directly. Many men believe that if they feel fine, their heart must be fine. This is one of the most dangerous assumptions in men's health. Rising blood pressure, worsening blood sugar, higher triglycerides, reduced heart rate recovery, all of these can be happening silently while you feel completely normal. Symptoms like chest tightness or significant breathlessness at low effort often only show up once the system is already under real strain. Feeling okay is not the same as being okay. That is not meant to scare you. It is just the honest truth about how cardiovascular risk works. Johns Hopkins recommends 3 practical targets that work together. 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise 3 to 5 times per week. 5 minutes of movement every hour during your working day. And roughly 10,000 steps per day as a daily baseline. The reason these 3 things matter together is that they address different parts of the problem. The structured exercise builds your cardiovascular engine. The hourly movement breaks up the damage from prolonged sitting. The daily steps keep your metabolism ticking over. If you have been off exercise for 30 days, restarting with all 3 in mind is going to get you back faster than just returning to the gym alone. Here is the genuinely reassuring part, and I want to make sure this lands clearly. 30 days off is enough to matter. The changes are real and measurable. But you are not back to square one. You are not starting from scratch. The cardiovascular adaptations built over months and years do not vanish in a month. Research consistently shows that when you resume exercise after a short break, you regain fitness faster than it took to build originally. The longer your history of regular exercise before the break, the more buffer you have and the quicker the rebound. This is not a one-way door. It is a reversible situation, and the evidence backs that up strongly. So what is the actual takeaway here? Not panic. Not guilt. Just clarity. Your heart responds to what you do with your body in real time, week by week, not just over years. 30 days of inactivity moves measurable dials: your blood pressure, your resting heart rate, your blood sugar, your arterial flexibility. None of those changes are permanent after just a month. But they are real, and they are pointing in a direction that, if left unchecked over years, becomes the story of how heart disease develops in men who thought they had more time. You are watching this because you want to understand your body before something goes wrong. That instinct is exactly right. Use it. If this video was useful to you, the single best thing you can do right now is share it with one person you know who has been putting their health on the back burner. Not to lecture them. Just to pass along the information. That is what this channel is about, giving you the knowledge a good doctor would share with a mate over a cup of tea, so that when you do walk into that GP's office, you walk in informed. Hit subscribe if you want more of this, and leave a comment below telling me what health topic you want me to break down next. I read everyone.